Recording in progress.
All right, this is the opening of North Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, November 10th. It is 6:30. Our members participating tonight are myself, Julie Kadish, Chair, Lisa Rosa, Vice Chair, Dan Pearson, and Mark Fernandez. We have John Thomas and Megan Harrop, or Harrop, I guess it is that Harrop? Harrop, okay. John is our director, Megan is our assistant, and we'll go to the first item on the agenda, which is meeting minutes of October 6th. There is one minor error on page 6. We did a motion, but instead of approving minutes, I think it's a motion to continue the hearing. So I assume that was just a cut and paste that got accidentally put there. I didn't find anything else I would correct. Anybody find anything they would correct on the minutes of October 6th?
I had a few edits on page 4. Let's see. Second paragraph and 5th paragraph, instead of regarding, should be regrading.
Okay.
It's just probably a spell check thing. And then, okay, page 5. So this is under 0 Leonard Street. And I just want to confirm this. It says in a butter at 76 Elm Street. Is that right? So in a butter for Elm Street asked a question about Leonard Street.
Yes, I think his name was Sonny. He had some quick questions on 2 of the projects. One of them was the Leonard Street.
Okay. So he wasn't in a butter to Leonard Street.
Yes.
It just isn't a butter. Okay,
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
I would correct that and just say a Norton resident
Yeah.
at 76 Elm Street.
Yeah. I thought it was like a cut and paste error or something, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's all I had.
Okay.
So he was probably in a butter to the Ray Lane.
Yes, he
project,
was.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right, anybody else have any questions about, or corrections about the minutes of October 6th? If not, I think we can consider a motion to accept the minutes of October 6th as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Roll call vote beginning with Dan and Lisa.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. The motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is update of violations. First one is 93 King Philip Road. From what I read, there is already a stabilization plan in place, and that project is stabilized for the winter. Is that, did I get that right?
That's correct, yeah, I asked them to provide us an update as to kind of what the current status is. They provided us a plan of what they plan on doing in the spring, and they also gave us a brief memorandum synopsis of what their plans are. And I went out there to go drive by, and everything seems to be in accordance with what we need for the winter, so therefore I'm okay with it just sitting as is currently until spring, and then they come back and they kind of formalize an action plan at that time.
And then we have 181, well, I guess I should ask, any questions about that from anybody? If not, we can go on to 181 West Main Street. Did we expect some discussion? I think we did. Do we have a representative of that
I believe we may have a couple. My name is John Kelty.
All right, and I think where we listed this last time was we wanted to see the work of an engineer to assess exactly what the issue is and the potential remedy. And so do we have somebody who can talk about those details?
I think that Tyler Lafreniere is present at your meeting. Is that the case? No?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
So, you able to
So
discuss
Tyler
that?
had presented a plan, which we forwarded to you, and in the meantime, we have also hired Scott Goddard as our wetland scientist, with whom we're gonna work, and I don't know if Scott is here, but if you would like some information about what the plan that Tyler had created, which is an existing conditions plan, we're hopeful that it demonstrates that there's no damage being done, and we can move forward with a notice of intent with Scott Goddard working with us.
All right, so it will be best if we can put an electronic form of that plan up on the screen. So I don't know if you have it in your computer or John, is that something you can?
I have one.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
So you can load it up? And then I guess you can talk about the plan.
Is there a microphone or?
No,
No, it's in the
Well-
ceiling, so you just come up here
Right
and
at
sit
that
down,
table.
and they should be able to see you.
Yeah, it's, we have a global microphone. Big brother is looking over your shoulder, so you're fine.
Good evening, my name is Tyler Lafreniere. I'm with Risser Engineering Company, 93 George Levin Drive in North Attleboro. This is a plan that we prepared for 181 West Main Street, showing the existing additions as of, I believe, a few weeks ago. We did locate an approximate edge of wetlands as well as a stream running along the side of the property. I know we had talked to Scott of Goddard Consulting about having the wetlands flagged and going back and locating those flags. This was just a preliminary map that we had created. We tried to get as much detail as we could as far as the patio, any cleared areas, edge of woods, all of that. If there are any questions as far as that goes, I'd be happy to explain.
So you have a, well,
Sorry.
exactly where is the edge of wetlands? I see some black triangles, is that your edge of wetlands, or?
The edge of wetlands is the green dashed line along
Okay,
the outside.
all right,
That is all approximate, just survey shots that we got.
all right, and then I can't, that's a 25 foot no-touch zone that you have illustrated. So the
Yes.
100 foot, I assume, goes pretty much, I mean, it goes into the building on both sides.
Yes, the 100 foot pretty much came to a point inside the building, so it wasn't worth showing.
Okay. So the entire patio area is within the buffer.
Yes.
And what is the surface there? I mean, you don't have that determined on the plan. Is it all dirt up to the concrete patio, or why don't you explain that?
I would say there is some vegetation. It's kind of sparse, but there is some dirt, grass, kind of all mixed in.
All right, and there was a discussion of a concrete patio that got put in. Where is that?
Yes. So the top left of the building on the screen, right there. Yes.
Okay. And the other area, what is
The
the
stone.
box? Yeah, what is, I can't read the,
Stone barbecue area?
okay, so that's a porous stone surface.
I believe so. Yes.
But the barbecue area is existing. Our issue is that newly constructed concrete patio.
Okay. All right, so, John, this, as I understand it, was flagged by another inspector in town and brought to your attention? Is that how this came up, or?
Yes, yes, it
Board of
was
Health.
my attention by the health and building inspector. And I sent over the landowner's consultants some information showing aerial photogrammetry that I basically transposed onto their site plan.
I have that too.
And if we wanna just pull up that plan for the commission,
Hold on 1 second, I'm just gonna stop sharing for a second.
So are we working towards a complete existing conditions plan with topo, ground cover? Is that the goal?
well, I think part of the challenge here, Lisa, is that it's evident to me based on photographic imagery dating back a couple of years that there was clearing of trees and vegetation. So I think their team, Scott Goddard, and their consultant, Risser Engineering, is going to have to come up with some sort of plan which shows basically everything north of that purple line was existing vegetation at some point. So I calculated based on their information that about 10,000 square feet of vegetative disturbance has occurred without a permit within riverfront area. And that's me being, very conservative. They can, itemize it better, use whatever they want to kind of look at that stuff. But if you look at the aerial photogrammetry, it shows that there's a clear tree line. This is dating back a couple years. And we don't have any permits on record of them allowing them to do any of that kind of vegetative disturbance within the riverfront area. So my suggestion to them was to bring on board a wetland scientist to assist them in the process with restoring the riverfront area and buffer zone. So that's what I'm looking for from them, and that's what we're gonna have to make sure they follow through. Otherwise, we have to take additional action, and I'm hoping that they can tell us that this is something they're gonna be working on 110%. And that's kind of what I want to hear from them. I don't want this to linger. I want to see results, kind of what Chair Kadish has stated at the last meeting. So that's kind of where I stand with this.
So I would ask that you update this existing conditions plan to show topography, to show what the ground cover looks like, to Julian's point, in the next week or so before the snow flies. So we need to bring this plan up to speed. We need to get Goddard's wetland flagging for riverfront and the BVW flags as well. So, and then we'll deem this complete, right? First, you have to do existing conditions. At the same time, somebody should be working on the restoration plan.
And that's exactly why we've hired both Tyler and Scott Goddard.
Right, but the existing conditions plan as shown is missing information.
Well, there's more that needs to be identified. I appreciate that.
Okay, well, that wasn't explained, so.
And
I'm sorry.
I would add that assuming the concrete pad is new construction, that probably should be added to your filing so that can be properly documented.
So the other challenges that we have with this is that given the size of the lot, we can't permit any of the past disturbance. So I don't know how you want to do that as a commission. It's 10,000 square feet. It's 20% of the whole entire lot. We only can allow for 10%.
So John, are you talking about the introduction of the patio?
No, I'm talking about the vegetative disturbance.
Oh, yeah, that whole thing has to be revegetated, as far as I'm concerned, everything that
Right,
was
so-
removed.
So my question then becomes is, how are we gonna organize that for a permit? Because it's gonna be a restoration permit first, or how are we gonna do this? Because that's what I'm asking about. Because when you file, the disturbance needs to be less than 20%, so they're gonna have to show an extensive amount of restoration with this project. I think that's something they're gonna have to come in with. So just be prepared that, you know, you might be limited with future development on this property because of the, I guess, you know, unpermitted activities. I just wanted the applicant to know that.
So what you're saying is that if 10% of it is restored, then...
Regardless, they probably won't be able to do anything with this lot in the future within Riverfront area, if they come in with a permit.
To the chair.
Yeah, we have a question,
So John, this is Mark Arnold, Goddard Consulting. Although I don't know everything about this property, I think just walking through the enforcement, I think the goal is to get a plan that accurately depicts the current conditions of the property and also provide the commission documentation of what we believe was there originally so we can accurately evaluate the violation and address the violation. I think that's the first thing we have to do before we even consider development. So the goal here of our team is to get that plan updated to show that information, and then after that there can be a discussion about what's allowed for redevelopment in the riverfront area. Again, it's restrictive, but until we know what was originally there and have the restoration kind of understood, the question or speculation of what can be done, I think, is a conversation for another day. Again, the wetland delineation is of very importance because we need to know where the river is and the wetlands itself, because that dictates a lot of things. But I think from aerial imagery and other information, we could probably document pretty carefully what was back there in terms of disturbance, degraded buildings, etc. And then from there, we can give the commission a better picture of what actually changed back here. And that way, we can have a better conversation. I think will be more profitable when we have that information in front of us.
I know I'm not going to be very open to be talking about degraded areas when I know that there was 10,000 square feet of vegetative disturbance that occurred out there without a permit. I'm going to tell you that right now. So honestly, I'm looking at something that I really want to see restoration done to, because a permit was not filed, nor was it approved from the Conservation Commission. So I for one, am going to advise the commission not to issue any permits until that restoration in the area is done.
But John, just correct me here if I'm wrong, but they're not asking to construct anything right now, right? They're just before us for restoration.
Right, but the challenge is that there are some other things that they're going to have to potentially do in the future on this property. And I think they should be, like for instance, if a new septic field needs to be created, a new septic leaching field, new septic tanks, those kind of things come into play and factor as part of a future project. So because of the illicit activities that occurred on the property, that could put a restriction on this property for future development. I'm just letting you guys know that, and I want you guys to think about this as you move forward with this project, because if you went the friendly enforcement route, we probably could just restore all this area, get it all done, and potentially allow you the ability to, have some relief in the future. But that's up to you on how you want to pursue this project. I'm not going to tell you which route to go. I'm just letting you know there are options. And you need to basically tell us which option you guys want to, which door you want to open.
John, go ahead.
Well, I would just throw in, is an upgrade of the septic system part of the plan that we know of?
No, not as of right now, but obviously I work for the town, and I know that there has been discussions of the need for an upgraded septic system in the future for this property. So that's kind of down the wing that they're gonna have to think about for this project site. It is gonna play a factor into riverfront calculations.
Are you suggesting that the restoration plan take into consideration the design of a future
That's up for the applicant on how they want to do things. I mean, that's why they're going to hire the engineer and they're going to hire the wetland consultant. They need to basically figure out what the game plan end goal is for this property and figure out how they can achieve that with all the illicit activities that have occurred on the property. So that's for them to decide. I'm not going to tell them which route to go, but they have to basically open their eyes and see kind of like what options they have.
Dan, you had a question?
Yeah, just a technical question. This obviously, this violation doesn't have a number to it. So I know we have good memories as to what's where, but say that they do, that there is a project, or they come back to us with a desire to start a project there. Is there something that will automatically trigger on that go and see the violation in the past, or?
So Dan, that's the reason why I always suggest after action notice of intents, because they're always recorded and they always have a order of conditions, and you can add conditions to certain things of that nature. And that's why I always say when there is a list of activities that are large in nature and they're not minor, you go that route, and if it was an enforcement order, it would be on file with whatever permit they would have for the property. Now, this property does not currently have any permits on record with the Conservation Commission, so it is also a good idea that they file an after-action notice of intent just to get a record going for this property, so that way the next person, whether it's me or whoever is going to be in the future, you know, looks at this 10 years from now, they have a better understanding of how this is going to work.
Okay. Can we condition that? Can we demand that?
We can't do any of that right now because this is kind of just a proposal and it hasn't even been submitted as a notice. But in terms of process, John.
Yeah, it's not actually even a proposal. We were able to hire Tyler, and so we had this plan. We thought we would get it before you to show some, although albeit limited, but there is some project, and we are putting the right team together to make a future filing.
Okay, so John, procedurally, what would you like to see? I assume as a notice of intent submitted as a restoration plan, or?
I mean, that is the goal here. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have a permit on record for this. It would be nice to get a permit on record for this property. But like I said, their team needs to evaluate the future of this property and figure out what is, you know, feasible for permitting the work on this, because, you know, the commission has the right, if they find out that there was way too much of riverfront disturbance, to put a limit on the future development of this property. They have the ability to do that if they've exceeded the 10% threshold as part of this illicit activity. So, you know, there is that opportunity that the commission has, but the applicant also can provide more mitigation if they feel that it's necessary, or some other sort of form of mitigation. They can provide that. They just need to be able to calculate it, quantify it, and provide us the information.
All right, well, unless there's another burning question, I was just going to ask the representatives, from what you've heard, do you have in your head a good plan? I mean, you kind of made a suggestion that, you know, first put some more details on the plan with regard to the nature of the materials and the elevations, and then historically establishing how recently this additional work may have been done. You have a plan, a good idea as to then what needs to come before us?
I think we understand that, one, the commission will not allow a permit to be issued on this property until the restoration has been addressed with appropriately, and I think John made that clear. So our first goal is to get the enforcement order matter resolved in terms of understanding what the violation is in its totality and what's required for restoration. And then any potential work could be discussed after that's understood by the commission, and that way the commission can guide us in whether or not how that restoration will be implemented, whether it's under enforcement order or after the fact, and why. But until we know what actually is on there, I think it's hard to speculate further. But I think we do have an applicant working in good faith to hire consultants to make progress, to update you on what's actually happening, that we actually are making progress towards something that can give you actual information that gives us better hard numbers. And again, we understand there was a violation here, and our intent is to restore what was violated to comply with the regulations. So I think we just request that we be allowed to continue to provide a better information to this board in terms of the violation, so the steps the board wants in terms of restoration can be appropriately implemented in a manner that's satisfactory to the board.
And I'll take it one step further on that, Mark, and I appreciate you being very informative with your response. It would be good for Goddard to recommend steps rather than the board to tell us.
I understand, I think I know what the commission wants, John, I know what you want. So I think we can definitely advise the applicant as to what steps are needed to get a plan that would give the commission comfortability that this is what was there prior to the violation, and then also guide the applicant to what would be required for restoration and compliance with the regulations. So I think we do understand what you're looking for, Mr. Chair, and we hope to get you information in the future that would be able to close this matter in terms of understanding what we need to do to resolve it.
All right, anybody have further questions about that step?
No, but I think we need to give the deadline for updating the existing conditions plan and coming up with a restoration plan.
All right,
I would like to see the existing conditions plan updated before the next hearing, before the snow flies. Everything on it, wetland delineation, flags located, and existing surface types.
1124.
yeah, so next meeting.
And that's 11/24, correct?
Correct. So.
Mark, do you think?
I guess it's a question for, it's more a question for the surveyors than I think Goddard in terms of getting out there. I mean, we can definitely get out there pretty quick and get the flags up, as long as the survey team can get out there pretty quickly.
Yes, we should be able to get that done by that deadline.
So we'll do our best, although we may be submitting very close to the meeting itself, but at least you'll have it and we can discuss it at the meeting.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a good plan moving forward. I often look at the long-range forecast, and within the next 10 days or so, no snow is expected, so I expect you won't have a problem. And it may be quite some time before things get obscured, but you have a good plan to go forward with it. Unless there are further questions, anyone in the room have further questions? Anybody on the call have questions? And if not, we can consider, well, I don't think we need to have a motion, but we will move on. And thank you for your information that you provided today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Next item is continuing what public hearings have requested a continuation. So there wasn't anything on Google Drive, but there is a, I think you mentioned 61
Yes.
West Main Street had requested a continuance until the 24th, that's
No, the 9th, December 9th.
December 9th. So our next item, under continued public hearings, file number 250-1180, which is 61 West Main Street, the current Honeydew Donuts site.
I apologize, December 8th.
December 8th, okay. They are requesting continuation until December 8th.
So moved.
So moved.
So we have Lisa with the motion and Dan with the second. So Mark and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Lisa?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. And there are no more requests for continuation, is that correct?
Yeah, that's all I've gotten.
All right. So next item is public inquiries and department updates. John, you have some comments on commission members? And then we have lakes and ponds.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about commission members and stuff like that. You said you wanted to put it on there. I put it on the agenda.
Yeah,
And then
I just wanted to emphasize that none of us should feel comfortable going on another person's property without explicit permission. And if any of us come across things that we consider may or may not be a violation, that we should bring it to John's attention and then allow him to investigate. That will reduce any possibility of misunderstandings and possibly conflict. So Norton Lakes and Ponds?
So the consultant that the town hires to do a lot of the treatments is Waters and Wetlands. And we also contract with TRC as the oversight for the management portion of it. And they provided a report. I'm not gonna go into great detail, but what I will say is that the treatments have been successful. And I will say that we're gonna hold off for treatment because we did it twice in a row for 2 years. We're gonna hold off for 1 year and see how it works, and then do another assessment late during the season in 2026. TRC is gonna go out there and do some screening to see if we need to treat in 2027, which I assume we will, but we're just gonna hold off on the 2026 chemical treatments.
All right. I'll have to ask if we have any new member prospects.
We did, we have. They seem to not want to email me, so I'm still waiting on receiving those emails, but I've been putting out a lot of feelers to a lot of people that are interested in the conservation side of things, open space preservation side of things. I've been doing what I can in person. I haven't jumped on the social media platform because I'm afraid to put it out there, so. But I may need to do that, so we'll see.
Yeah, and then just among commission members, and you're talking to friends, don't forget we have an opening. All right, so moving on to continue public hearings. The first one had requested a continuance, we dealt with that. Then file number 250-1188, which is 65 Hill Street, has a notice of intent for construction of a single-family dwelling. Do we have a representative of that applicant?
Yes, Nick Kelling from Level Design.
And are you able to share your screen with the plan?
I am. Second. I sent the request to share there.
You read it?
You should
Yeah,
have.
perfect. Thank you. All right. So, 65 Hill Street. John, that's lot 2, correct? For
Yes.
thank you. So 65 Hill Street. We're looking to construct this.
Black air as of whatever.
Yeah, somebody didn't have their mic.
I muted them.
Okay, but just for clarity, from what I could tell, as far as locus goes, this is pretty much in the middle of Hill Street. Is that a fair statement, Nick?
Yes, I agree with that.
All right, you can go on.
Okay. We're looking to construct a single-family house with a Title V compliant system. This will just be a typical trenches and trenches system. As you can see on the plan, there's wetlands to the west, also plan north. Matt Morrow was the consultant that went out and delineated that, and we just submitted a delineation report from him confirming his delineation with Transect forms. It's all been surveyed and located on this plan. All work will be outside of the 25-foot no build, but we do have some extensive grading, and the majority of the house would be within the 100-foot buffer. The system itself is outside of that, and the main thing is that we'll be installing straw wattle, or silt fence backed with straw wattle along the edge of our limited disturbance, which comes up against that 25-foot no buffer zone. Happy to answer any questions, but this one That's basically the gist of it.
So your grading is 2-to-1, is that right?
The majority of the contours are 3-to-1. It gets a little tighter around the system up front. That's just for breakout elevation. It's 2.5-to-1.
But right around the house and then proceeding further back,
That is all 3-to-1.
3-to-1.
Correct.
Any questions from Commissioner?
Can you just zoom in on the grading there? So the existing grade is 79. What's the foundation?
So, yeah, the top of foundation, the top of concrete will be at 89, the garage is at 87.5, and it's gonna be a walkout. So the walkout will be at 82.
So you're bringing in 10, well, not 10 feet of fill, you're bringing in 88. Yeah, almost. Is that just because of the septic, groundwater?
Correct. It's due to the septic system.
Okay.
So this is.
Yeah, we were seeing redox models at 37 inches from surface.
So it's extensive fill in here.
There is. There's 3 lots proposed right next to each other. The first one, not within the commission's jurisdiction, but the other 2 obviously within your jurisdiction. It'll all be graded out together. It won't be like mounding of each home. It's going to look nice. It just will be graded up from Hill Street.
Was this a prior gravel excavation site, do you think, or no?
I don't believe so. There's some walking trails to the north or the west of the site, plan north. And there's that kind of lead to the bike path, and it seems like it was just, there's wetland complexes and it's just never been developed.
John, do you have any comments on this site?
Yeah, Nick, did we ever take a look across the street at the vernal pool and stuff like that?
Yes, we did. On the next lot, you'll see all of that. It's just none of that kind of made its way onto this lot. I think, and if it did, it was slightly catching the edge of the lot line.
Okay, I'll hold my concerns until we see the next project then. But no, Matt Morrow did provide a wetland report and provided DEP transect forms. So I can't really say anything negative about kind of what he provided. He gave us a very thorough report, and he provided the wetland transect forms. I had some concerns regarding the wetland delineation, and that's why I asked him for the information. But I went out there, took a look, took some soil cores, and can see what he was talking about with his delineation. So.
All right. So is this something that we would close tonight for an order next round, or?
I mean, if the commission is comfortable with the design as it's currently shown for this lot, you know, we definitely could, and I can draft up a draft order for the next meeting. If the commission feels comfortable with that.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure the overlay of the, oh, I see where it is, the driveway into the garage. So is that flat there from, I see, I guess you have a contour that accommodates the driveway into the garage?
So currently it's kind of a bowl, but I think they're gonna build this one up a couple feet. So it's gonna be on somewhat of a, I would call it a mounded residence.
Right, but the driveway passes over a part of the leaching field. So I assume at that point that the lot would be level.
Correct. Yeah. So we come out of the garage at, I think it's 1.5% over the leaching field. We don't go over any of the max slopes in that area. And then as we get past the overdig area, we start, and the breakout elevation area, we start to grade back down.
Okay. All right, so any further questions, either in the room or on the call, about this project? And how does the commission feel about closing this versus keeping it open? The only issue with closing versus keeping it open is I don't know if anything is gonna happen at our next meeting, or, with regard to getting a quorum and all that stuff. So it might be practical to keep the hearing open. Does the applicant have any
I think the applicant was looking to close the hearing tonight, but if the commission isn't comfortable with that, I don't see,
well, operationally, it wouldn't matter, assuming there's no big problem. We would just, close it at our next hearing and issue the order then.
yeah, if that's what the commission is comfortable with, then we were more than happy to go along with that.
Okay, I would prefer that myself. And other commission members, are you okay with that plan? If so, we can go ahead with a motion to continue the hearing until the 24th, yes?
Yes.
24th.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Dan. So Lisa and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, so the motion carries. So we may not need to see you next time, Nick, on this. You can check with John, because it may be simple procedural that will close and then issue the...
Okay.
So our next item on the agenda is 63 Hill Street, which is file number 250-1190. It's also a single-family dwelling, and Nick, I assume you're going to be the representative on that as well.
I am. Nick Kelly from Level Design, representing the applicant. This is basically, it's the same proposal as the other site. Less disturbance of the 100-foot buffer zone, kind of just kisses the side of this lot. Big concerns for this lot: there is a certified vernal pool across the street of Hill Street. We have the 100-foot buffer to the vernal pool there. None of the septic components are within that 100-foot. There also is a BBW across the way. And same there, none of the septic components are in that. It's more of grading the site as well. There's a culvert that runs under Hill Street. Just with the grade change of us picking it up due to redox, we're going to be picking that culvert up and bringing it 146 feet to a flared end section with a riprap apron to extend it out. That's for any high groundwater scenarios coming from the other side of Hill Street, and that's its natural outfall anyways, so just picking it up through the pipe, bringing it to its natural place. Besides that, it's basically the same grading within those setbacks, but I'm happy to answer any questions about this one.
So you have your septic, is that a gravity feed to the field, or?
Yes, it's gravity.
Any questions from commission members or John? Anything? Any comments?
So I guess my question, Nick, for you is, did you talk to the highway department about touching that culvert? Because they own Hill Street.
Understood. I would have to check in. I personally haven't checked in with them, but Dan Campbell might have.
I would have Dan reach out to Jared and see if he has an issue with that.
Perfect.
Because he's in charge of maintaining the drainage under Hill Street and through Hill Street, so you're just gonna have to get his sign off for that if you're gonna modify it.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm glad that you guys modified the plan to show the septic system outside the required 100 foot from the certified vernal pool. In addition to the previous plan, what I would do is for lot 2, just show the buffer on that plan, just in case there's a modification in any sort of concern or anything in the future.
Yes.
The septic system needs to be, upgraded or whatnot. They know that they can't put it over there. Just show the buffer,
Will do.
all right? But this one looks like you have stayed outside the required areas for this Board of Health setbacks. Do you want to scroll up a little bit on the plan, please?
Yes.
And obviously, the setbacks for the wetlands out back as well. Where is that? Is it buffer on the plan? Yeah, okay.
It is, yeah, it's unfortunately kind of gets lost in that area, but it's this phantom line right here.
And that swale shows up on the other plan too, right?
Yes,
The one from lot 2? Okay.
it does.
So that system is at least 50 feet away from the wetland, right?
Correct.
So is that riprap apron physically gonna be located on the lot that we were just looking at to the left?
There will be a bit of an overlap, and I'm happy to add that to the other plan as well. It didn't look graphically appealing to have just that random riprap apron sitting there when we were doing the design, but more than happy to add it.
Well, if it's in the buffer, we have to approve it, right, on that lot. It's gonna be tied to that lot. So,
Okay.
has the riprap been sized for that location?
I haven't done any calculations, but I can submit that as well if that's what you're looking for there.
And this is kind of a question outside of conservation, but is there a required slope of that pipe?
Yeah, normally drain pipes, we would do our minimum slope of 0.5%. This pipe is 1.03%, and that's kind of why we have the outfall back here. It was to get that proper pitch from the existing culvert invert to back here to have proper pitch for any stormwater.
Okay.
Who will be responsible for maintaining that pipe?
Yeah, that's a good question, Lisa.
If there's any debris clogging it, it needs to be cleaned out. Is that going to be the homeowner? Both homeowners?
Under my understanding, it would be the homeowner for that pipe.
So how are they gonna know if that's their obligation? How do we make sure that gets into the hands of the homeowner that are they gonna own this pipe? Is it gonna be in an easement? Is the town gonna own it?
I guess that would have to be a question for DPW too, to see what kind of error.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think DPW is gonna want that. So,
Okay.
I would say that if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to make a drainage easement that both landowners share, and they're both gonna be responsible for it. That way, it's their responsibility.
And
Noted.
DPW will determine the access covers? Like, I assume you would have to have an access at that elbow in order to get equipment in to clean it out?
They'll probably
Yeah.
make recommendations
Yeah.
as to what they would be looking for. But the landowners, both joint landowners, for 65 and 63 will have the only rights to basically maintaining that. I think that is probably the approach that you should take.
All right.
Perfect.
Yeah, my concern, John, is how we inform the potential future homeowner of that.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I think that one of the conditions would be we have it recorded in the order of conditions and have it be within the deeds before they're sold.
Okay.
And give them suggested language.
So this is an item that will need to be added, I think, before we can consider closing this lot.
Yeah.
Although it may, if it becomes a shared easement, it really kind of affects both lots. But you'll have to work that out with DPW. So nothing else on this really merits our attention. It looks like everything, most of the activity is outside of either buffer.
Yeah, I think they definitely have covered their bases from meeting all the setback requirements, which is good. It's just the construction aspect of it and making sure that, anything they do within the vernal pool buffer gets restored back to whatever it's supposed to be for this one. Now, my guess is the whole lot gonna be cleared, or, because I don't see a edge of tree line?
Yeah, there's gonna be, just for how the walkout, for the house is, there'll be, it's kind of tough to see, but this dash line is kind of our limit of disturbance,
Okay.
and it will be cleared up into here.
It's the whole lot.
Yeah, the whole lot's gonna be cleared up.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is just add what the vegetative ground cover is supposed to be to the plans. Because I don't see it on here. Like lawn or grass
Mhm.
lawn.
All right, I think we can consider a motion to continue, because you do need to come back with that info about the pipe.
Definitely.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you're gonna ask for comments from the public or the participants?
Yeah, we can actually move on, unless there are further comments from the commission, we can move on. So, why don't you identify yourself and where you're located relative to this and ask your question.
Certainly. My name is Amy Conley, and I happen to live to the right, which is Amy Griffin and Richard Conley, otherwise known as, used to be Lot 4. So we're to the right of this proposed development. My question or concern would be, again, I'm not an expert reading these plan designs, but I see that it's a walkout basement. I'm just concerned about the contours or the grading and how that might impact our lot. I certainly wouldn't want, water or the drainage to be heading toward our direction. So my guess is, looking at it being a walkout basement, that there's going to be a lot of fill required to bring that house up to a certain point.
You want to comment on the grading with relation to that lot, Nick?
Yeah, definitely. So as the contours are, of course, we can get more data to the property line, but it seems that there's a high point within the lot. As you can see, it's 83 contour right here. And then it starts to slope down towards the wetlands that way, and then it starts to kind of slope around and then back towards the wetlands this way. So we're keeping that high point as is, as we're tying in to that area. So all the water that kind of lands up here will flow back around towards the back. This is going down towards the wetlands.
Okay.
And then for here, it's more of kind of continuing what it does. The 82 contour used to run in here. The 83 would run back here. We're just bringing the 83 around. We're just directing more flow towards the towards Hill Street. But more than happy to kind of grade in the swale in here, just to kind of really drive home that water won't be running on, that excess water won't be running onto your site, right, to your property.
I would appreciate that, yeah.
Sorry, just for context, we had a similar project of this concern happen, and that's what Level Design did to remedy the situation. I would just suggest during construction to put some silt fence along the barrier of the Conleys and the project site, just to make sure that any sort of sedimentation and stuff doesn't go onto their property. So just a recommendation.
We'll definitely add that on.
To that, Nick, is there any reason not to pull that 83 and then the 8 and then leave that you know, even if it's, I don't know what the scale of this plan is, 10, 15 feet between that lot and the Conleys, and leave that natural instead of clearing up to the property line?
I think the limited disturbance, I think we do have the ability to kind of tuck it in. The only thing with the 83 contour, you're saying to bring it closer to the house? Is that where you're?
Yes, and try to leave the 82, you know, where it is.
We could definitely look into that, since we're gonna have to do some plan updates. It was just more, I think the design choice here was to have a more gradual yard than kind of from the house grading down and then gradual.
Are there trees there now on that side?
Over here, there's a few trees. I feel like it to my memory that the site is kind of open towards the front, and then as we come back to this back left corner and even into this back right corner, it starts to get a little thicker.
Yeah, that side doesn't have a lot of vegetation right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would see if you could tighten those grades up to leave that more natural as possible between the next property line. And that'll also might reduce some of the runoff that's going there.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from people in the meeting or in the meeting room? And if not...
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, say your name.
My name is Matthew Griffin, and I too live adjacent at 61 Hill Street. My comments relating back to this drainage extension and concerns that I have is, you know, maintenance, because right now that drainage comes in, it flows all the way down to the hillside and forms a very large puddle area, which gets quite high, and it goes all the way back to the trail, the river line, the trail, and it runs north along the drainage ditch also, which is all part of the, I think when they built the railroad down there, that's how they drained that whole area, and goes north above the property area of 61. Behind 61, there's a large pond, and the pond will also drain to that same section to the trail, and the water from that point builds up and flows under the trail onto the other wetlands. Now, maintenance, right now that area where the flows under the trail, that compartment's always consistently filled with leaves. There's hardly anybody taking maintenance on that. So I'm worried, concerned about that long extension, but in the pipe, keeping that clean and plug it up. A lot of leaves and stuff are gonna fall through there. A lot of the water that comes down too, it comes down from the streets and flows down to a culvert into the easterly side of Hill Street, into that area, and this one eventually also flows all the way back into that other area with that pipe that you're planning on. So maintaining it, I think, is a big issue. I can't imagine homeowners want to have the expense of cleaning that, however they clean it. So that's my conclusion.
Thank you.
Well, I think, you know, that's really a key point that we're concerned about as well. It's not within our jurisdiction, but DPW needs to weigh in, and Nick is going to bring us that information back as to what DPW's preference is with that. Any further questions? If not, we can consider a motion to continue this hearing for file number 250-1190.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dan, seconded by Lisa. So, Mark and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Lisa?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. So, thank you, Nick. And
Thank you for your time.
we probably will be seeing you at the next meeting for this one. Now we are at file number 250-1191, Abreu Lane, and I cannot recall the information that we were missing, so maybe you could bring us up to date on that. Courtney, are you the representative, or who is the representative?
Courtney with BMP Consulting, here with Mark Dibb.
All right.
Good evening, Mark Tibb with PMP Consulting on behalf of the applicant for the Abreu Lane subdivision. So we were before this commission a few weeks ago, and we received some questions from commissioners, as well as there was a referral for a peer review that happened at that meeting. We did receive peer review comments on October 15th and submitted a response to that, as well as we just received a follow-up review today that I can discuss as well. But with your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Sure.
So I'll just go through the changes we made, touch base on the peer review results and final letter we received today, then I'll hand it back to questions from the commissioners. First thing we changed was the style of the building on what we call lot number 1. I think if you recall, the garages were kind of out on the edges, so it was a longer building. It was pushed more to the east and north towards the wetlands. By changing the style of the building, we were able to get most of the building more than 50 feet away from the wetlands. This corner is at about 48 feet as opposed to 33 feet in the previous version. So we pushed the building, we also pushed it forward towards the road and to the west on the property. The question from the peer reviewer was related to the drainage design in the easterly portion of the site. We originally had one drain point that kind of connected both the driveway and this drainage ditch to this area of Elm Street. At the request, the suggestion of the peer review, we split that up into 2 drainage points. The existing conditions associated with the wetlands, as well as the existing conditions associated with the existing driveway. And by doing that, we also added an additional bioretention area in this location of the property. So it's the east of the building on lot 1. What that does is manages the majority, or about 70% of the roadway runoff gets into that bioretention area first, and that's at kind of a higher elevation. We're able to sheet flow it in at elevation 101, as well as then the remaining smaller section of runoff goes into, actually, sorry, this is bioretention 2A, and then the one by the road is 1A. And that addressed a couple of the concerns from the peer reviewer. One was that we were taking the overall runoff and reducing runoff on the overall property. Instead, now we're reducing runoff for each of the different design points. So as you'll see if you read the peer reviewer's letter from today, the runoff in the area of the existing driveway, which is now the proposed driveway, has been reduced. It's also treated where it wasn't in the past. So there is still some discharge out to the street, but in a reduced fashion. And the peer reviewer stated that met the stormwater requirements for the project. We also, two items in the peer reviewer's letter from today. One was related to the stone diaphragm. He felt we still hadn't addressed 100% a comment. Basically what the comment is that we need to show either a specific detail of that stone diaphragm or just a dimension here on the stone area of 6 inches. That stone diaphragm is 6 inches deep on that. So we do need to just add that detail. And then I had one more item to review. There we go. Excuse me. The additional, another comment associated with the peer review was that this basin is designed, you see in the note, to be at elevation 103.07, where we have a 103 contour. This contour just needs to be adjusted to be labeled as 103.07 instead. Again, back to the drainage design, these basin areas can also be used during construction as temporary holding areas for sediment. We still have provided silt sacks out in the roadway. That's important for a project like this, but we can divert any construction related sediment into these areas, and then they can be, prior to being finalized, any rehabilitation can be done prior to the bioretention soils and vegetation that's needed. I believe those are the main changes for the project, and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
John, do you have any comments on this, or are you all set?
I haven't been in the office, so I didn't know that we received the report, but I trust that we did.
We did.
And that the applicant is stating those facts from the report.
But so it sounds like we want to continue this to be sure you have time to study it adequately, but it sounds like we may have gotten all the information we need to close it on the next meeting and issue an order. Is that kind of your first reaction?
I mean, I will definitely be drafting up an order for this project for the next meeting. It seems like they're at the finish line. I just haven't been able to read Pat's report, so.
Okay. Any questions from commission members?
I have a couple.
Sure.
So, Mark, you mentioned the conversion of the temporary basins to the post-development bioretention areas. Are there notes on the plan to that effect so the contractor can follow those accordingly?
I can make sure that the erosion and sedimentation control plan shows that. It sounds like we're going to have to just wait for this final, just read through the letter and stuff like that. So I will make sure that the appropriate notes related to that are on that plan.
Okay. Yeah, it's so that the contractor knows they have to remove any of the sediment that builds up during construction. The other question I had, is this going to be a homeowners association that's going to be maintaining this, or is this going to become a public way, or?
Maybe if, I know there's a couple other people from PMP Consulting on, I don't have that answer, so maybe somebody else can let them jump in.
I am also not sure if there'll be a homeowners association for that. We can certainly get that answer.
I guess my concern is, I assume you have an O&M plan in the stormwater report?
Yes.
Again, it's making sure that the homeowners understand what their obligation is. I mean, if it were, become a public way, that's easy. DPW takes care of it, but it's just making that connection to the homeowners. that is my concern. So if you could find that out before the next hearing, that would be great. Thank you.
Any other questions? So we can open it up to anyone in the meeting who may have a question about this project. And if there are none, we can consider a motion to continue this hearing until November 24th.
Sorry, December 24th, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Dan. So Lisa and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw an aye, motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
So the next item on the agenda is file number 250-1178, 0 Leonard Street for single-family house. And so you have some added information.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Mark Reynolds here with Goddard Consulting here on behalf of the applicant. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, but everyone out there was able to hear him adequately? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
We should be all set.
So I'm just gonna share. I think to recap, so we submitted a revised plan to show the spot grades that would typically be shown as part of the elevation certificate for the FEMA program on the plan. So I've highlighted those spot grades in these blue clouds here, so you can see we've kind of put them around the area and also around the house itself. I missed one right here, sorry. But basically, elevations around the whole house are now shown, just to show clearly that location, something that John had asked about in terms of the FEMA process. I just wanted to clarify another thing that seemed to be a little bit confusing at the last hearing, and I just wanted to read. This is from Katie Pageant from the Mass FEMA program, basically walking through what this kind of project, how it results basically in things. And basically I'm just going to read this email. I did forward this to John, but it says, if the property owner wants to remove themselves from the floodplain based on elevation, they can place the fill and then apply and receive a LOMAR F. Once that LOMAR F was received, they could build a structure. That structure would have to meet the technical bulletin requirements. Also, when they apply for the LOMAR FR, it will require the community to sign or sign an agreement. The community acknowledge and inform that the removed area is reasonably safe from flooding. So just as clarification as to FEMA's process in terms of work in the floodplain, FEMA wants information on a changed floodplain before they change a floodplain map. So as this project has proposed, we have an existing elevation of 73.5 from FEMA that has been added to, that is shown as the existing conditions elevation. And then we have a proposed elevation of 73.5, moving it around where the proposed building would be built and providing compensatory storage as the regulations allow for. So I don't know if John wants to give the commission the update on his research or what I provided to him. And I think he dug up some more stuff even in town versus what I've done in the state as a whole in terms of the LSF. But I think there were some questions too about is this even allowed or done elsewhere? So John, do you want me to summarize what we sent you, or how would you like that clarification?
I think it's probably best to stay local.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep the commission apprised. This was done in town for another project for Condyne, and it went through the whole entire appeals process, and DEP basically stated that this was a feasible way about doing things, provided that the compensatory flood storage was, the proceedings with that were in accordance, and that, for instance, the project was able to receive that LOMAR F that Mark has alluded to. So that was done as part of DEP's I guess under their provisions, because there was an appeal, so there was a superseding order for that one. And they followed out the suit for that work for, I think it was lot 15 to be built for Condot. So it seems the same process is being done, but on a much smaller scale for a single-family house. I don't know what the time frame and the complexities are with the applicant receiving a Lomar F, but that's going to be at their expense, and obviously they can pursue that process with FEMA at their discretion. But as part of this project, I think, as I see it, what we're doing is permitting them to put in fill and provide compensatory flood storage for that impact. So that way they can basically create this buildable pad for them to construct a house, which is technically not going to be in our jurisdiction because it would be outside the actual floodplain elevation. So they have some actually legwork to do before they can actually do this work, but that's their prerogative, and that's what they're trying to propose for this project. So it is a permittable project under DEP's guidance, but at the same point, I haven't seen it. Haven't seen it done this way, so it's a learning experience for me.
So can I ask for clarification? So we're actually not bringing in fill to get this out of the flood zone, right? They're actually cutting it lower. They're actually putting the lot in the flood zone. Is that correct?
So the property is in the flood zone.
Yes.
And that flood zone, it goes up to this red line. I think we can all agree that that's where the flood zone is, yeah. So
right.
we're proposing basically to take material, if you want to say, out of this area here, and out of this area here. And some of that soil is being taken off-site. And some of that material is being used in here to raise this area out of the floodplain. And as a result, you end up with a larger area of floodplain volume on the property, which is a net improvement to the floodplain because you're actually reducing flood risk net in the watershed because we're actually removing material from the floodplain, which gives the floodplain a greater ability to function as provisioned under 310 CMR 1057.
Okay, can you go back to FEMA's, or FEMA, whoever wrote that letter, the very first sentence about importing or placing fill, right? Not cutting, but placing fill to remove property from a flood zone, right? Was that the wording?
Yes, it is. And I'm just going to pull it up so you can actually see it on the screen here. So here's the email right here. And it says, if the property owner wants to remove themselves from the floodplain on the elevation, they could place the fill and then apply.
Right there, stop right there. That's all I've seen in 35 years, is people placing fill to elevate yourself out of the flood zone, not cutting and creating flooding around the site. So that's the big issue I have with this project, is that you are creating more flood zone around the house. So if you go back to the plan, you're actually lowering the grade so that if it floods, 3 sides of that house can be underwater. Right?
Compensatory storage requires that we create at least an equal amount of floodplain volume.
I'm not talking about compensatory storage. I'm just talking about the proposed grades. Forget about compensatory storage for a second. There's a 100-year flood, right?
Yes. And it
3
floods.
sides of that house is going to be surrounded by flooding, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Again, 99.9% of the time, people bring in fill. So you would have brought in fill to elevate the entire site, put up some walls, and called it a day and said it's out of the flood zone. Why that didn't happen here, I don't know. That's all I'll say. And I'll also allude to FEMA's letter that says fill. So that's all I have to say.
But in order to comply with no net filling of the floodplain, that's why the cuts were necessary. So I'm not really sure I understand what your question is, Lisa.
I don't have a question. What I'm saying is, as a Conservation Commission member, I do not feel comfortable approving a project that results in flooding on 3 sides of a house.
Well,
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done. I'm done looking at this. I'm done commenting on it. That's all I have to say. We
okay,
can
well,
agree or disagree.
just as an observation, I think if we do get a 100-year flood, there are many other houses in this town that will be surrounded by water on 3 sides.
Right, and that's why we usually bring in fill. You don't lower the grade. It's bad engineering practice, it's not good engineering practice. And one thing I want to clarify for the record, I asked if this was signed by a PE, and you said it didn't have to be. According to 310, and I don't know it off the top of my head, there is a provision that allows the Conservation Commission to ask you to have a PE stamp this if it's a complicated project. So I just want to clarify that for the record. And I would love to see this stamped by a PE and not a PLS. That's just my wish list. I'm done.
All right. Any further questions from commission members? And any questions from anyone in the meeting? So, John, it's your assessment that we have everything we need to be able to close this, hearing?
I mean, based on the Wetlands Protection Act, I mean, if someone's trying to fill in a resource area, you have to mitigate and compensate for it. You know, based on just that alone, I mean, they're not even proposing a house with this project. I mean, they're showing it on the plan, but what we're permitting for this project is basically just the fill, because if they get this LOMA RF, then for instance, that house is no longer in the floodplain, and therefore that construction of the house is not subject to the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. That's how I look at it, because that's the only thing that's applicable for it being in our jurisdiction currently. And, you know, that fill that's being proposed needs to be mitigated, and that's what the applicant's proposing. So if it was any other project, you know, where they were filling in wetlands, they'd have to mitigate for them. If they were filling in any, you know, other sort of resource area, they'd have to mitigate for it. And, you know, what I've looked at and what I've researched, you know, it is permittable, provided that you provide the necessary mitigation to offset the impacts at a ratio that is acceptable to the Conservation Commission. So, you know, obviously that is kind of what we have. And for us, we don't have a bylaw, so our ratio is 1-to-1. And I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are providing more mitigation with this project, correct?
Correct. We're providing additional mitigation in the floodplain.
And what is the ratio of mitigation that you're providing for BLSF impacts?
I think it's close to 2-to-1 here. Let me just look at the numbers again. Hold on. It's because we're filling 2,267 cubic feet of volume, and we're creating 3,617 cubic feet. So it's well over 1-to-1. It's really. It's like 1.59 to 1.
Okay, so you're between 1 and 2 ratio.
Yep. But we're over 1.5.
But you're over 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's at every interval. So this mitigation is not only a volume, it's also an interval of elevation, which our elevations actually have a mitigation value at a lower elevation rather than the upper elevation. So there's the mitigation factor is also doubled by the fact that we've mitigated further below than we didn't need it to, and therefore it's actually a double benefit to the floodplain because we're mitigating at the lower elevation
Right.
to help.
So let me ask you this question, and maybe you can provide a little bit more guidance for me, because obviously I'm very new to this kind of, you know, scenario. Now, would FEMA want you to fill the floodplain? Let's say, for instance, hypothetically, this project was approved and you received an order of conditions for this. Would they want you to basically have a certificate of compliance from the Conservation Commission before you applied for this Loma RF, or would you apply with this plan to FEMA to basically get approval from them?
So you don't file to FEMA necessarily for filling. It's a question of the balance of it, and also the fact that there's a change that still balances it. So that's why FEMA doesn't say, give us a plan, we'll approve it, then you can fill it, and then we'll make the map change after that fill is done. It says you fill, you show us that it changed and works, and everything else. So in terms of this project, the way I see this happening, if we do receive an order of conditions, is I'd expect the commission to have a condition that says that the building, which is currently within your jurisdiction, cannot be constructed until a map change has been received from FEMA to confirm that the elevations have been appropriately approved by FEMA, that the floodplain has been properly mitigated, and that matter has been addressed. And that would ensure a few things. One, that before the value of this property really is received by building a house, the commission has already received their mitigation because there's a plan that shows that mitigation has been completed. Second, it also gets confirmation through FEMA that everything is in order in terms of FEMA. So the commission has confirmation through basically an interim as-built, which the commission can ask for, an interim as-built basically after the compensatory storage is constructed and the fill is placed as proposed. The applicant needs to submit an interim as-built and an approval from FEMA that the floodplain has changed prior to the construction of the house. And that would allow this commission to control, one, that the mitigation occurs first, and two, ensure that FEMA is in order. And then after that, then the commission can authorize basically phase 2. And this is like a big project. The commissions often approve projects where they're allowed to start work in phases, and each phase has to be kind of opened up by the agent or the commission, where the applicant has to demonstrate that phase 1 is complete and satisfied and stabilized before you go to phase 2. Similar here, basically. We do the filling, we do the compensatory storage, we get everything stabilized, we do a map change with FEMA, we demonstrate to this commission that we have a topo that complies with the compensatory storage, and then we're allowed to proceed. That's kind of where I see this, and that's kind of what we've done before in terms of projects where we're actually trying to move things around in the floodplain. So I think that would make the most sense, again, to provide protection to this commission, and particularly ensuring that the compensatory storage is completed per the plan in an appropriate manner and prior to other value being provided to the project.
All right, if I could simplify that. You're gonna reshape the lot, presumably stabilize the ground, proceed with your process for approval of the reshaping by FEMA, and then build the house.
Exactly, because then we can actually comply with the building requirements and everything else as well. And that's kind of what that FEMA talks about in their letter.
All right, so the only thing that we're doing is also tagging along and being sure that we agree with the reshaping of the lot. And then you're out of our jurisdiction, as John has said.
The commission has jurisdiction over the resource areas on this plan until a certificate of compliance has been issued.
Okay.
So
Right.
in terms of that's the beauty of this project, is the commission has jurisdiction to commission everything about the house as well.
Okay, all right, but, so we're all in agreement as to how this will proceed. So with that said, we potentially are in a situation where we can either close or continue, but I think we have everything we need to close. Unless I'm wrong, John, is that right?
No, I mean, I think the commission is open to, make a decision on this project. I think Mark has done what he can from his side to provide us the necessary information for the commission to make a decision on this.
Don't we want to see a stamp from a PE?
Well, that's true. I think one of the conditions was that Lisa did state that she wanted to see the plan stamped as a PE. So, if that's what's going to hold this up, and Lisa is adamant about the PE stamp, I would say that we need to get that PE stamp for the plan.
Well, Lisa's not adamant about it. Lisa's just reminding the commission that we can require it because it's a complex project.
So
My not my, oh,
If we were to close this and then deliberate, and one member chooses not to support the project, the three remaining members really can't issue an order, is that correct, John?
That's correct. You need to have 4 members issue an order of conditions.
It's a 7-member board, John?
Yes.
You need 4 for action.
Well, we only have 6 total
Yes.
right now.
Well,
So I guess,
although in the next meeting may have more than 4.
well, I guess,
did we lose members?
No, we have 2 absences tonight because of work conflicts.
Okay.
so this, as a reminder too, the commission could ask that the interim as-built be stamped by a PE if they wanted to, so that way they feel comfortable that what is shown on this plan has been adequately done and reviewed by a PE. And that might, I don't know if, Lisa, that might help your question of concern and getting the PE stamping the fact that the grading and all the flood stage storage was properly done. Would that be sufficient, Lisa, for your concern in terms of the PE stamp? At this point, the commission has 2 issues. One is potential for lack of action, which I don't want to put them in. So, but we'd also like to close, because this has been going on for a while, and as been discussed tonight, this project is a legitimate project, since we've stated. But if anything, is the chair willing to have John direct, the chair able to have John draft an order of conditions, so we can maybe close and issue at the next meeting?
Mark, I have drafted an order of conditions for this project already.
Okay. I guess my only concern to the chair is delaying the meeting gonna still result in a lack of quorum by this commission inability to actually move forward. So in terms of action, that's my only concern here.
If we try to act on it tonight, I think likely we will not be able to issue.
Okay. And I'm just, so that puts the
Now, we
commission.
still may be in a situation
Yeah.
of not being able to issue next time, but there may be more members and we have a discussion. If we got close to, or even had a full board of 6, then everyone can weigh in as to whether they feel comfortable with this project or not.
I'm pretty sure we can get approval with a 3-1 vote here tonight. If there's 4 members here, you have a majority of the quorum in
Well,
approving the
actually,
project.
yeah, but I haven't been in this circumstance where the vote may be less than a quorum of the commission. As to whether or not if that's a valid issue.
John, are the other members who are not here actually qualified to vote at the next meeting?
No. Well, one of them is not. The other one is.
Okay.
I'd have to
I
check how
believe.
many.
Megan, you want to double check me on that?
Yeah, I'd have to check if Joe's available to vote, because he might have missed 2 meetings for this. I'd have to go
Okay.
upstairs and check.
I think Courtney's out on this one though.
She is, yes.
All right. Do you want us to close? Or continue?
I guess besides Lisa, do the other commission members who are virtual, do they have any other questions or concerns about the project? I just want to make sure I know Lisa's been very good at being upfront with us on her position and where she's standing. Just want to make sure that the other members on the screen have clearly kind of looked at this project, and I'm just trying to understand, because I don't want to put this commission in an awkward position. That's my concern, Chairman, is weird,
We
so.
all have our own assessments of given projects, so we're all feel quite comfortable being independent.
No, again, that's, I'm
and,
just,
you know,
yeah.
with regard to my view toward this, if the floodplain wasn't there, no one would be uncomfortable reshaping the lot. And to me, the floodplain presence is also not a barrier with regard to reshaping the lot, because you're not changing the amount of floodwater displacement, which of course is a requirement. You do not change that. So reshaping the lot is not really a reason for disqualifying the project. But we all can vote according to how we feel most
I think then I would request that the commission vote to close the hearing tonight. Because we do feel we have a project that DEP would approve, and we'd rather have this commission condition the project in a way that is appropriate. And I think that this board and John is able to do that in a manner that protects the interests of the house.
All right, so unless there are further questions, we can close the hearing. That's not going to be controversial. So do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
So motion made by Mark, seconded by Lisa. So Lisa and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. So we have one more hearing before we can, oh no, we have several more hearings. All right, well, thank you, and we will move on to our next hearing, which is 0 John Scott Boulevard, file number 250-1174. This was a project where we have a house in a small upland portion of a larger lot. I think we got all the information we need. I don't know if there's even a representative present. And I think we just...
Yeah.
Who was that spoke? Was that Mike?
Mike Choquette.
Okay. Was there additional information required, or are we at the point where
It was just the engineer should be on. I'm not sure if he's on. Bill?
Bill sent me over some revised plans today, that he wanted me to show during the meeting.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Bill Galtwald. At the last meeting, John had kind enough to share me with this note. So what the plan that I have submitted to you there just shows some of the questions that were asked the last meeting, such as how we're going to access the well, how we're going to protect the 25-foot buffer zone. We were going to put some boulders along there, along with some posts and placards. So I took everything off the plan that was just to make it a little bit clearer what we proposed to do. So as you can see, we're going to put the access road kind of probably about starting at the street, maybe 50 feet or more on the buffer zone, and then through where the proposed house is going to go. This is the access for the well, by the way. Drive to the back, drill the well. Of course, before all that's done, we'll put the siltation control up, have John look at it and make sure everything's okay, and put the well in, and then, because the well, if you remember, is a couple feet into the 25-foot buffer zone. Actually, it's 22 feet off the wetland flagging. So drill the well, and once everything, the well is tested and everything is okay, reestablish that 25-foot zone again with the siltation control. And once that's done, Mike here, the owner, is also be doing the site work. There's a number of boulders on the property, so at the last meeting we suggested we would kind of place those boulders along the 25-foot zone, along with some posts and placards. I'm not sure what Norton does. I know in some towns they provide a sign to warn that this is a 25-foot buffer zone. So that's what I was proposing. And then any stockpile material will be, what's gonna happen is the well's gonna go in first, later on the foundation, and then it will finish up with the septic. So any stockpile material will end up over in the septic area until that's done. And once it gets time for the septic, that will be dug and the excess material will be hauled off site. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you have a small structure up front near the road. It looks like it has a DW in it. What
Oh, yeah, again, I took, at one of the meetings, I took off a lot of the, well, if you look down below, that's gonna be a dry well for the roof leaders to go into.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I put two of them, I put one there, and I guess I had one in the backside, but it's on the other plan. But on this plan, I just tried to focus on what, how things were gonna proceed as far as cleaning out the site.
Okay. All right, any questions about that staging information?
One question I had was, is somebody gonna stake out that?
Yes, if you, up in the top part of the plan, I put kind of a sequence. So I'm the engineer, so I will go out there and mark the 25-foot zone for them, flag it. And once it's flagged, Mike will put up the combination, a silt fence, and...
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant the access road to the well for the drones.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can stake that out also.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem at all.
I will add, this plan is going to be in an addendum to the other plan. It's not going to replace the other plan.
No, not at all.
Two plans.
It just that everything was so tightly small that I
Right.
felt was easy to take it off so everybody could see.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just more of an administrative thing, for instance.
Yeah.
So we're going to have two plans with any sort of order conditions for this.
I understand.
Okay.
All right, any further questions from commission members? Or now anybody in the meeting? If not, I think we have everything closed. Yes, John?
Yeah, I guess the only other recommendation I would have is just adding something in the order, if we were going to issue an order this evening, that stated that the applicant shall follow this plan, construction sequencing, dated, whatever date it is. So Megan, if that happens, if you can just add that to the conditions.
Yep.
Okay. All right. We can entertain an order to close the hearing for 250-1187.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, seconded by Lisa. Lisa and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Dan?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Thank you.
Next
Good night.
hearing is file number 250-1186, 49 Island Road. And there has, I guess, been a request to withdraw the permit without prejudice. We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Lisa and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Dan?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. We now are at file number, the new public hearing is file number 250-1192 for 10 Robinson Lane, which proposes construction of a duplex, etc. Do we have a representative of the applicant?
Yes.
And you have a thing.
Good evening, Tyler LaFrenia, Risser Engineering Company, 93 George Loven Drive in North Attleboro. The plan we have tonight is for the construction of a new construction duplex at 10 Robinson Lane. There is an existing garage and office building on the site today. That would now be the accessory dwelling to the new proposed duplex. Included with this construction would be all the proposed utilities, grading. We did show a silt sock around the perimeter of the limit of disturbance. We have a silt sack and catch basin as well. Any clearing would be limited to within the outline of the silt sock.
Sorry, can we zoom in? I can't see anything proposed. Sorry.
That's my bad.
Can't see a thing.
Is that better?
Okay, thank you.
So for this project, we are staying well outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone. We are surrounded by wetlands both kind of on 3 sides of the project, across Robinson Lane and then along the northeast border. The septic system is outside the 50-foot setback. Everything, I believe, within the site is located within the 100-foot setback. I believe that is all I have for now, if there were any questions.
So,
I have a question. There's a sort of a thick charcoal line that has about 4 sides to it, but it's not closed on one side. I'm just wondering, what is that?
That is the silt sock, the erosion control.
Oh, okay.
so you have it at the road because the road is slightly lower elevation, or?
Yes, as well as there is a wetland across Robinson Lane.
Ah, okay.
So this project is surrounded basically on all sides except the side of the existing garage by wetlands.
Yeah. So the existing garage is used currently as a garage and an office, or is it a residence, or?
It is for a business currently.
All right, so it's not actually a residence.
Correct.
And it doesn't, so its uses are not gonna change, it's just that there's additional building on the same lot.
That's correct.
So can you label that garage as existing? Right now, it looks like it's proposed, but
Yes, I can do
that's
that.
one thing. So, and you're showing a water line to that, is that proposed?
No, that is existing as well.
Okay. You really need to make the distinction between existing and proposed here, because your line work looks exactly the same.
Yes.
So let's clean up the plan a little bit, and then can you go over the grading, please?
So the grading, the proposed duplex will be a drive-under garage, so we are building up around the outside a little bit as well, also in order to keep the septic system as gravity fed to the leach field. The grading all had to come up a bit so we could match the grades, which are a bit higher up toward the existing garage.
So what's existing grade on the site? 106, looks like.
Yes, there's a 106, there's a 108 running to the leach field.
Okay, so you're not bringing in that much fill.
No, the only area that would be coming up a decent amount is kind of to the right and the back of the proposed duplex to match everything around it.
Okay, for your silt socks detail, if you could update that to not show the stake through the middle of the netting, please. You can put it at a 45-degree angle.
Yes.
All right, any further questions from commission, or for that matter, anyone on the meeting, in the meeting? So, John, it looks like we have pretty much all the information needed to close on this one.
Yeah, I can draft up a draft order for the next meeting if that's what the commission is looking towards.
Yeah, the plan needs to be cleaned up. It's
Yeah.
just not clear what's existing versus proposed,
Yeah,
so.
I think that's definitely something they could do within the next 14 days though.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and continue it. I assume you don't have any problems, we close next time and issue the order. All right. So if there are no further questions or comments, we can consider a motion for continuation of this hearing until November 24th.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion by Dan, seconded by Lisa. Mark and Dan, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I'm not, well, Lisa.
Aye.
Yeah. So, Dan, I guess you're whatever, you vote yes, and
Yes,
so I'll
yeah.
throw in a yes, the motion carries. Then we have determination number 1140, 1145, 28 Eddy Street for a proposal to basically replace an existing deck with a sunroom. That's at about the 50-foot mark in the buffer. Do we have a representative of the applicant, or is this,
Yes.
are we the, okay.
Hi, good evening. I'm Martin Bray, owner of Bray Construction. I'm looking for an RDA just to build a proposed sunroom, approximately 16 by 16, with the same footprint that is currently a rear deck,
Yeah,
16
hang on
by
for
16.
2 seconds, we have a plan coming up? Yeah, well, let's get the plan up and then we can proceed. All right, just blow it up a bit. That's so fine, Rachel, you can continue.
Okay, so this plan was done by Trowbridge Engineering. This was originally approved for a much larger project back in 2021, and due to family circumstances, they've downscaled it a lot, and they've changed the scope of the project. All they're looking to do is basically replace their existing deck with the same size sunroom, same footprint. We're not looking to change the grade or anything. We're not bringing in any heavy equipment to dig a foundation. This will be built on 3 helical piles, so it'll be a relatively small machine we're bringing in. We've shown the proposed silt sock detail with the stakes behind the compost filter sock, placed at a 45-degree. It was done by Michael Trowbridge, and the original wetland delineation was done by Goddard Consulting.
So that machine just basically screws those piles into the ground?
Yes, it's about the size of like a dingo, a Toro dingo, if you're familiar with that type of machine.
No, but it's small.
It's small, it's about the size of a deck mower or so.
All right, questions from commission members?
no, I think I was just asked that the note we put on the plan that, I'm sure you're gonna have equipment back there just to restore and reseed and stabilize the area that's disturbed.
Yes, yeah, it will be about the size of like a mower path, and it's very little disturbance. It's basically, it would be like bringing a deck mower into the backyard. So it doesn't really create a lot of disturbance, to be honest with you.
All right, but if you just put the note, that will make it clear.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other
They have a
questions?
line of these, I was just gonna say, they have a line of these machines, if you go to the Home Depot in Mansfield, they're lined up along the side of the parking lot there,
Okay,
Yeah.
dingoes.
all right. Any other questions or comments? So I think we can,
Yeah, I have a question. My name is Johanna McDonald. I live next door to 28 Eddy Street. And I'm just kind of wondering, I didn't see any mitigation for water now coming off of this new construction. Right now, it's an open deck. It's not shown on any plans that I've seen that there is an existing stone patio around most of this area. So I'm just concerned what the mitigation is of the water.
Well, I mean, my impression is there's not gonna be any change. It's still, you know, the same amount of water will be shed off of this structure as is shed off the existing deck. So,
Look, is it gonna have gutters?
Yes, yeah, it's gonna be a 16 by 16 sunroom with gutters attached.
Okay, so it's gonna have gutters, and those gutters are going to discharge to a dry well?
Typically, they would just discharge how the house gutters discharge. I'm not sure if they currently have a dry well. I'm not aware of one.
So John, does the town require dry wells? At least thought the planning board did, I don't know. Maybe not for additions, but.
Yeah, we recommend them, we don't require them. It's an easy, quick, or easy long-term fix for alleviating, especially if there's the patio out there. You know, it'll definitely, you know, allow for the water to infiltrate in the ground at a faster rate than to sheet flow across the patio and cause structural damage to that patio potentially. So I would advise looking at it. You know, we're not going to require it, but it's definitely, it's going to help the longevity of that patio function and values for the landowner.
Okay, yeah, that's easy enough.
So I guess to answer the abutters question, it's going to have gutters.
Excellent, because like I said, I didn't see that on any of the plans, and I'm just concerned because their property slopes to my property, so I just want to make sure I don't have any issues. Thank you very much.
no problem. Any other questions? If not, I think we can consider a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Dan and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye. Aye, and I'm sorry, we're issuing, we're closing this, is that right?
We're not,
This is closing,
we're just
yeah.
closing the hearing, and then we get on to the positive or negative. So Lisa, you are?
Aye.
And I'll be an aye. So we've closed, and we are now, I guess we're at a COC part. File number 250-1125, 237 Mansfield Avenue, which was a kayak launch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be acting on that soon. It almost certainly will be a negative determination, which means you don't have to file a notice of intent, assuming it's built according to plan.
Sure. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So John, it's my understanding that this project is completely completed and stabilized?
Yes, they provided us the necessary closeout documentation and an adequate plan, so we should be good. And I did go out there to take a look at it.
Okay.
I've been there, I frequent that area very often. Nice spot if anyone hasn't been there.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to issue a full, they're looking for a full, John, I assume?
Yes.
Now a full COC for file 250-1125.
Second.
We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. So Dan and Lisa and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye, the motion carries. So we can flip back to our determination at 28 Eddy Street. Check 3, I guess, -3.
Oh, need a motion? So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark for a negative determination. And Dan and Lisa, I vote.
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. And now we have so we have 2 orders of conditions. I think we'll take 0 John Scott Boulevard first. I don't expect that will be a discussion. We have only, I think, one spot where we have additions, namely the findings that the no disturbance zone.
So
remains.
this one, maybe you're gonna add, condition to the findings that the contractor shall follow the construction sequencing
Yep.
as outlined on the plan?
Yes, dated 11/9.
Okay. So the only comment I had was on number 2. So the work proposal from the 25-foot no disturbance will be mitigated immediately following the installation of the on-site well. I thought they were gonna try to avoid disturbance to the 25, right? With the exception of the well itself.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's where they had the discussion that they were going to revegetate that area because they're gonna need an area where they work within. It's gonna be small, the area that they're working
Right.
within. And they gave us that separate diagram on the plan that showed the disturbance, but they're
Okay.
going to, yeah.
So can we just clarify that just a little bit to show that the, I'm going to say this, that it's only just for where the well is gonna be drilled, it's not the access to it, right?
It's not the access, it's just physical well.
Right.
Well
I just
location.
think we may wanna just make that distinction.
Okay, we can add that.
Okay. So maybe all work proposed in the 25-foot no disturb, for the well installation.
Yeah, for the well, just disturbance, yeah. That
Oh,
sounds-
yeah, and you can just add that to the beginning where it says all work proposed. Or you could say in the 25-foot no disturbance zoning, disturb zone, and then maybe parentheses, limited to the installation of the well.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all I had.
All right. Any other comments?
Where did you want me to add the applicant shall follow the construction sequence?
So that's gonna be prior to the commencement of construction
Okay.
activities, that one?
Yep, got it.
So no, that's soil disturbance activities. But we probably should have it under soil, because they're gonna be doing that when they do that. So, I would, because they did provide us that plan, so I would have it be that, a condition, so make sure it's a condition prior to construction. And then, right after, because they did provide us that site plan showing the visual barrier, so we can eliminate that. No, under 1A. We can say that, site activities,
Shall be performed in accordance with the sequencing.
yes, exactly. The construction sequence plan. Can't say that today.
I have to fix these numbers, but I can do that another time.
Just highlight it and you can fix it later.
Yeah.
Unless there are further questions or comments, we can consider a motion to approve the orders of conditions for file number 250-1187 as revised.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lisa, seconded by Mark. Dan and Lisa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye as well. Motion carries. We are now at the orders of conditions for 0 Leonard Street, file number 250-1178. As I had previously stated, I have no objection to the idea of reshaping the lot, even if it does involve floodplain, as long as the floodplain is appropriately compensated. Any filling in the floodplain is appropriately compensated. So, other comments? And that's delineated in the findings section.
So, LOMA is different. So there's an LOMA and an LOMR?
Yeah, so there's a letter of map amendment and a letter of map revision. And I sometimes get them mixed up when I'm talking to people and they're like, what? And so, yes, I have to recorrect myself.
Okay.
So, John, is there the only way I would entertain approving this order of conditions was if we got all of FEMA's feedback, approvals, blessings, whatever, prior to starting construction.
Yeah, I in a perfect world, that's what I was hoping for, right?
It's the only way I'm gonna approve this personally.
Right, so my question, obviously is, even if, let's say for instance, we did approve it, right? But FEMA said no. They'd have to come back for an amendment anyway, because they're gonna have to amend the plan. So that's kind of where, there's no guarantee that FEMA is going to say yes to that LOMR F.
But they have to come back to us anyway, right? Which would probably be a holy filing.
Which would mean that the commission, if they can't, I guess my question would be, and this is a condition that we might want to think about, is that, let's say they didn't get the filing from FEMA. Do we want to put a condition in there that it needs to be restored back to its natural condition?
But they're not gonna do anything out there as far as I'm concerned until FEMA approves this. Like, nothing. They are not gonna touch anything within our jurisdiction until FEMA approves this.
But
It's the only way I'd approve this order.
But as I understand it, that's not how the process works. They do the revision and submit it, and then FEMA says yay or nay.
They can't build the house until FEMA approves it anyway,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's gonna be no construction of the house. And of course, once FEMA...
It's mainly just the compensatory mitigation that they would have to do in compliance for us. I guess my question is that, let's say we did authorize this, and they did all the fill, and they did all the compensatory mitigation, they met all the criteria of the Wetlands Protection Act, but then we find out that they didn't get the approval from FEMA. Do we have a condition in here saying that since they didn't get approval from FEMA, that they have to restore the area back to natural conditions of it was previously? Is that something that's...
I'm unclear on why they can't get the map revision.
I don't know.
Beforehand. So they have to lower the site to show, I mean, they're gonna lower the site, right? But the house is still gonna be in the flood zone, right?
So what they're technically doing is they're lowering the areas around the site,
Yes.
around the house. But then they're making like this peninsula area where the house is gonna sit on, and they're gonna shape it, as Julian has said. So
Yeah.
basically they're reconfiguring the upland area on site to build the house, but they're modifying the area around it to compensate for the flood storage area that was lost. So, you know, they did it on a previous project in town and it went to appeals court, so, and DEP basically said that it was an approvable project. So my job is to basically tell the commission that if they did decide to deny this project, it probably would go to appeals and we would lose like we did previously for another case in town. And then, for instance, we would have no control over this project and they would just get some 8-page conditions from DEP that don't even include most of the stuff we usually require for projects.
Yeah, I had to recuse from that last project. That's why I was like, I don't remember that at all. And
No, I know. Yeah, I know you did. So, but that's the case for this one, so.
I agree with you, John. If this winds up that we cannot issue an order, then we lose control of it.
What about the interim as-built signed by or stamped by a PE? Is that?
Well, if we lose control of it because we deny it.
the design should be stamped by a PE, not the as-built. I don't care about the damn as-built. That's gotta be stamped anyway, but to me, it's the design. Why, it's a complicated project, and I just don't understand why they couldn't get a PE to stamp this. But.
Well, I know for a fact the design after the work is done needs to be stamped by a PE.
Yes.
The PE is gonna be responsible and have all liability with it, making sure that everything is in compliance with all the wetland protection provisions. And that same person's gonna be in charge of when the house gets constructed, so, you know, that person is gonna be responsible for making sure they administer it and have all the information correct, which is the recommendation I made to the applicant's consultant, was to put on those spot shot elevations, so that way we know exactly what the elevations are gonna be at those house foundations.
So they strip the site, they prep it for construction, they do the grading, they do the cuts, they do the fills, then they apply to FEMA.
Yes.
So the concern is that if they do that and FEMA denies it, we're stuck with a site that's stripped. And what obligation do they have to go and fix it if they can't get a house built?
Well, that's kind of what I'm asking the commission is, do we put some sort of additional condition? Because I didn't do that, it was a discussion item I wanted to talk to you guys about, was do we want to make it so that way if they do not get the Lomer F, that they have to come back in front of us to discuss mitigation aspects to restore the area back to natural conditions.
But John, what incentive do they have if they can't build a house to restore it?
They're never gonna get a certificate of compliance for the lot. So if they sell it to somebody else or, you know, whatever it's gonna be.
But at that point, it's probably not a buildable lot.
To the chair, this is Mark Arnold. Can I just make a
No, hearing's
comment?
closed.
I just want to state that the applicant is willing to accept the condition that the site has to be stabilized at the interim. And at the interim of the project would comply with the floodplain compensatory storage requirements and could be stabilized as a field. So the conditions of the site would be almost identical to today, except that there would be some change in topography. And that would at least, I think, assure the commission that there hasn't been an impact to the resource areas. The resource areas have been mitigated as appropriate and actually have been benefited by the grading, even if nothing gets built. I think that would be a reasonable condition that the commission could put to require stabilization during the interim. That is definitely fair.
All right, and I'm gonna say that you really would want to do that because this is probably gonna take a couple of years to get this.
Well, they have to do it.
Yeah, they're gonna be
There's no
required.
question.
I understand, but it would make complete sense because it's going to take perhaps a couple of years to get FEMA to deal with this, and you don't want erosion to destroy or change your reshaping. So obviously you would have to stabilize it for that period of time. So, any further questions or comments? I agree with, so John, you didn't put specifically in here that it be restabilized during that interim.
No, but that was kind of the given as part of that, but we definitely can put that in there as an addendum to the conditions there.
I mean, it's not a controversial thing because, you spend a lot of time carefully reshaping the lot and then leave it to erosion to damage that would be foolish. Any other
I'm
questions?
confused with the language in here, John, like number 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
Site work associated with the construction is contingent upon receipt. Wouldn't it be the house itself?
So, once we get the Lomar F, once we receive that Lomar F, they can go in front of the building.
Right, so that condition should not say site work can't begin, right? It should say the construction of the house.
Construction of the house, yes, that should change. So site work should say construction of the house.
So, Megan, if you can call that up.
Yep.
I would reword that to say that the construction of the single-family house is contingent upon the Conservation Commission receiving the FEMA Lomar F determination.
This one?
I thought I had associated with the construction of a single-family residence.
But you have site work.
Oh, I have site work, okay.
Yeah.
She's just putting in construction of the single-family house. I don't know what.
Oh, no, just strike site work.
Oh, okay.
So site work associated with the construction of the single-family house.
It should
So how
just
about
say the
construction
construction of the
single-family house.
single-family house is contingent upon.
You can just strike, you can strike that, just, it's there already.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
I would say upon providing the commission with I'm trying to work with you here.
What did I do? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, John, I'm talking. Talking to John.
No, I'm all good. I like it when you guys have ideas.
So, 37.
Wait, are we finished with 5? Is that?
No, we're not finished with 5.
Oh, we're not?
We need
Okay.
to finish.
Construction of a single-family residence is contingent upon
The commission's receipt for providing the commission with a copy of.
Oh, yes, okay.
And
All right.
37?
37D.
I'm going to ask for another prior to construction.
Okay.
I would personally, I have no idea how anybody else feels, but I think this plan needs to be stamped by PE.
Okay, we can add that. I think the applicant's consultant would be willing to get a PE to stamp that plan.
The proposed plan as is, right? Yeah.
Megan, can you put it in one
Yeah.
1F after 1F?
Yep.
That way it's consistent. Thank you.
This is why you do this. You're better at it. All right.
And provided to the commission, yeah,
Yes.
prior to the start, yeah, right, okay, and provided to the commission.
All right.
I think we're on 37, the 37 series.
Yeah.
So, this is interesting, because we have this tied to two milestones, right? One is
Yeah.
prior to construction of the house at the beginning, but then we also have it post-construction. But this isn't really this is post-construction of cut and fill, not post-construction of the house. So I just think 37D personally needs to go up and either be part of or take the place of what we just wrote under, you see what I'm saying?
Right, but the challenge with this, right, is that this is kind of what I was dealing with as well, and I understand where you're coming from, Lisa, is that if I'm being told that FEMA's not gonna be looking at this until they do all the fill, then, you know, obviously all that work that's associated with this permit, the fill, is solely for this permit. And house construction is what's gonna follow after this permit. Because we're gonna issue that certificate of compliance and then they're gonna construct the house.
Right.
Because at that point, our jurisdiction is gone.
Well, it's potentially going to be still in effect, but until we get the request for certificate of compliance. So this is gonna be at the later stage of, like, once they get that Lomer F is probably when they're gonna get their request for certificate of compliance, because they're gonna be able to say, hey, here's our Lomer F, now we wanna get a certificate of compliance. That's how I see it happening. I don't see any other way that they could get it.
I agree, and otherwise, I mean, at that point, once that process is completed, it becomes equivalent to an upland construction site.
Yeah, I guess all I'm saying is we're already asking for this in the first. Are we not already asking for this?
We are asking that they provide one prior to the construction of the house, but this is more in detail as to kind of when we expect to get this.
Okay. Okay.
I know, this is the most confusing order I've ever written, by the way, just so everybody.
So it's,
Well,
maybe it's just the title of H. It's not post-construction of the house, it's post-construction of the BLSF.
Well, that's what this work is for. Yeah, because the work entailed with this is not for a house, it's for post-construction of.
So maybe we just need to be clearer then in the findings that you just come out and say it, that this
Yes,
order of conditions does not authorize the construction of a house.
Yeah, if you go up all the way, all the way to the top.
I don't know, Lisa, if you keep this up, I'm gonna say you've been taking lessons from Dan.
The proposed work is for the filling of BLSF resource area mitigation, which includes compensatory flood storage area as shown as the final approved plans. No other work is approved with this order condition within conservation jurisdiction. Because my understanding is that once they get their Lomer F, they're gonna be outside our jurisdiction for the construction of the house. That's how I look at this.
Chair, I'd like to direct the commission to look at the plan again, because I think you do see that some of the deck is actually overlapping the floodplain still. So I don't believe the applicant could get a certificate of compliance until the whole project was done, including the house.
So the deck itself, you're saying?
The steps of the deck do actually touch the floodplain itself.
Are you gonna be doing any substantial work in the floodplain with those steps?
I don't think so, John, but I would hate to have us get a certificate of compliance and then have an issue with a contractor driving and disturbing soil in the floodplain and not be under your jurisdiction. That's my concern, is I'd rather, I think this commission should require that all work be completed in the floodplain prior to the start of the house, and that at least erosion controls be placed around the floodplain to protect the completed floodplain then, something like that. I think the applicant's not gonna do a COC until the whole project's done. Honestly, I think that's gonna be the case. But if you're concerned, John, then maybe if after the BLSF area is completed and the grading is completed, you could put erosion controls at the new floodplain elevation to protect the floodplain from being disturbed as part of any future work, unless the order is issued. And that's the question that's here. So just as a protection to you.
Here's my question though, if you're not gonna do any subsurface work, significant subsurface work that's gonna be associated with that deck and those, I guess, concrete steps, I don't see it being an issue to me. I mean, you're basically gonna be putting it on the top of the grade, is that correct?
Basically, or they may have to take out some soil to put in the slab of the steps, the base of the steps maybe. I don't know.
We're talking about a 5x5 area, right?
We are, but again, I'm thinking about soil disturbance and in the floodplain, and I don't like the idea of that. So I personally would rather, if I was the commission, I'd rather have jurisdiction over the project until everything is done. So that way there's no potential for erosion entering the floodplain from outside the floodplain.
But
that seems to be
all right. But
Well, that's stabilization, that's, straw wall doesn't prevent erosion, just captures sediment, so we gotta get that straight first. I mean, and that's why it has to be stabilized. If you stabilize it, you don't even need sediment control.
but the slopes there are very shallow, so the likelihood that
Needs to be stable.
I mean, the other option is that the applicant comes back for an amendment. I mean, because here's the problem is that we don't know that, for instance, you're gonna get a Lomer F for this project, right? At this point, we don't know that. It's not a signed, sealed, delivered kind of situation. I guess my question would be then, when you do get that, come back for an amendment and include those steps as part of the amendment. And then it's basically, we have it covered. I guess that's the way I would look at it. I'd rather just treat this as the impacts that you're basically doing for this project at this point in time. I don't know if that's something you would be agreeable to, Mark.
John, I think that's fine. I mean, again, I think yours is a little more flexible than I would be, so that's fine. If the way you're seeing, the way you've said it, I'm fine with it. I just think that the commission would I would prefer to have jurisdiction over the construction of the house as well and withhold the COC until everything is done. And that gives the commission the ability to protect the floodplain even more than just assuming that assuming, again, under that assumption. So that's again, John, you're fine as is. I don't have any objections to what you stated.
So
and as you work it.
why don't we do this? We're gonna need a partial, at least, certificate of compliance. So they do all that earthwork, and they walk away and wait for FEMA. So let's add that they have to ask for a partial COC. They need has to achieve full stabilization, and then they can ask for a partial COC.
all right, that sounds like a good solution.
All right, let's do that.
I like it.
Are we to put that under administrative conditions or would it be too separate?
No, it's gonna be following construction.
Yeah, following construction. So I would say
37.
following the work authorized in this order of conditions. All disturbed areas must achieve final stabilization. And the applicant must file for request of partial COC. Disturbed areas must achieve, sorry, it's probably my speaker. So all disturbed areas. All disturbed areas. All disturbed areas. Nope. Okay. Just take out the as out.
Yep.
Okay. Must achieve, not received, must achieve final stabilization. And the applicant shall file a request for a partial COC.
put that condition right under C.
Got it.
Yeah, in the sequence of life, that's where it makes sense.
Okay.
So it should say, following the work authorized in this order. Okay. And then if we have to issue a final, a full COC at some point, if they come in to amend it or whatever, at least we'll have something.
All right.
So, John, do we take it a step further and say that, once they complete that earthwork, it shall be immediately stabilized? Is there anything in there that talks to that?
I mean, we definitely can request that it be immediately stabilized. It's probably-
Because there's no reason to wait.
Yeah, it's in their best interest anyway.
Yeah.
Where do you want to put that?
Oh, it's probably in the construction part.
It's
So
gonna
I
be-
would say that maybe, maybe add another one after D, and call it E, and then say, all areas disturbed.
Well, we already have G is a whole section on site stabilization, so.
Which one?
G, big section G, on page 4, it starts.
Yeah, it's up a page.
Well,
But we're gonna ask for it immediately.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
we can just-
29
reiterate.
says, so we can just change 29 to be all disturbs soil shall immediately be stabilized after completion of construction.
I honestly would put it under that section that we just had and just say
Yeah.
refer to as.
Yeah, because that's an interim
that's
condition.
fine.
We were just looking at interim. They start it, they stop it. That's the 14-day clock for the CGP. So,
Refer to condition number 29.
For E?
Oh, and I meant leave that, all areas must be stabilized.
Okay.
That's okay.
What was it, 29?
Um,
I would say within section G, or something along those lines.
or in accordance with. That's my bad.
Tomorrow's a holiday though.
For who?
The veterans.
And for me.
Not for consultants.
Okay.
Actually make that capital G,
Okay.
because it is capital G. Yeah. All right. Are we at a point to consider a motion?
Yep. Good now.
All right, so this is file number 250-1178, orders of conditions as amended.
So,
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Lisa Lisa, seconded by Mark, to accept the orders of conditions as amended. So, Dan and Lisa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And I'll throw in an aye. Thank you, guys. So I think that brings us to the point on the agenda for, what?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have to do a formal motion to adjourn with a roll call vote.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Dan for adjournment. Lisa and Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And Dan?
Aye.
And I'll say an aye, and that's a wrap.
All right, thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care now.
You bet.